to take pictures of a courthouse from outside?
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is it lawful to arrest somebody for taking pictures outside of a courthouse, of the courthouse?
No, not that I know.
Okay.
In the midst of a sunny day, Samantha, known as Pink Camera Magic, pointed her lens at the imposing Cook County Courthouse. Her camera, a symbol of her First Amendment rights, captured the courthouse's grandeur, but the peace was shattered as two experienced police officers, Jennifer Larson and Donald Malazzo, entered the scene. It set the stage for a story where constitutional rights faced off against authority, culminating in the moment when corrupt cops realized their lives were over.
Hey, ma'am, you know this is a public building?
Exactly, that's why I'm recording it.
It's also a court facility.
Yep.
Which there is a judicial law or judicial order that says that you cannot tape this building.
Can I see that order?
Yes, come on in. We're going to check your IDs too.
Oh, no, I'm not going in.
Oh, yeah, no. We're going to run you too.
No, that's all
We're going
right.
to get your name. We're going to do a report and everything. So come on in.
No.
No, yeah, you're going to come in now.
Am I being detained?
Yes.
For what?
Because right now you are doing something suspicious.
That's not a reason to detain anybody.
Well, it is for Dana. Come on.
It's really not.
Let's go
so
inside
I'm just going
now.
to stay here and continue recording.
Okay. You're going to come in and we're going to find out who you are and what you're doing here.
No, you're not.
Okay. All right, who's got cuffs? She does not want to go agreeably.
Approaching Samantha, they assert that she's violating a judicial order that forbids recording the courthouse's exterior. Samantha, a composed and informed citizen, reasonably requests to see this supposed order, knowing her rights. Here's where the situation takes a disconcerting twist. The officers, exuding authority, declare their intent to check Samantha's identification. She instinctively resists, refusing to leave the scene. The officers persist, coaxing her inside. Yet, Samantha stands firm, making it abundantly clear where she stands. The officer's unwavering stance is perplexing. He believes he can detain her simply because she refuses to provide her ID, a stance that directly contradicts established legal norms. In the United States, the right to photograph or film public spaces is a cherished freedom, deeply rooted in the nation's core. The officer's tone shifts dramatically, far from friendly. It's evident that Samantha's rights are at risk.
Okay.
I'm being detained for just taking pictures of the building.
Yes, ma'am. You're doing something suspicious, and we need to know who you are and why you're doing it. Okay?
Are you familiar with the First Amendment?
Yes. I am.
Really?
Let's go in. Come on.
Wow.
I tried to do this nicely. You are aware of Homeland Security, right?
Samantha, showcasing an impressive understanding of her constitutional rights, invokes the First Amendment, asserting her freedom of speech and expression, including the right to record public spaces. The officers, visibly frustrated, bring up Homeland Security in a bid to intimidate Samantha into compliance. Samantha remains unshaken and counters with the Fourth Amendment, a fundamental element of the U.S. Constitution that guards against unwarranted government searches and seizures. It's a stark reminder of the safeguards in place to protect citizens from overzealous law enforcement.
Lawyer.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazies?
I don't know.
The most revealing moment arises in the officers' private conversation. One of them remarks, "Why do we always get the crazies?" This candid statement lays bare their disturbing bias and misconceptions that can lead to violations of civil liberties, even by those sworn to uphold the law. The person behind the camera is none other than Sergeant Jennifer Larson, while Lieutenant Malazzo stands beside her. What they seem to overlook is that their actions are clearly against the law, and Samantha is well aware of it. Samantha, standing her ground, refuses once more to show her ID. Suspicion grows as she observes Lieutenant Malazzo tampering with her camera. The situation takes a darker turn as the officers persist and mock Samantha. Samantha remains steadfast in her silence, fully aware of her right not to reveal her identification or submit to searches.
Did you delete my footage?
Do you want to cooperate or not?
I'm remaining silent.
It is only making it worse. Do you want to give us an ID?
I'm remaining silent. I don't consent to searches.
We're not going to search you. We're asking for an ID.
The officers' mockery reaches a disturbing height as they laugh when Samantha invokes her right to remain silent. With Samantha showing no cooperation, the officers decide to issue her an ultimatum. This is the moment it all comes to a head.
What the f*** is going on today?
I don't know.
Every crazy loon in the building is coming. All we're asking is an ID.
We're asking for an
If you
ID.
know how to do it, we'll do a report and you can go on your way with your camera. Otherwise, I'm going to confiscate the camera and we're going to take it downstairs
For what
and
crime?
we'll print you. Because you're suspicious.
Remaining silent.
Samantha, displaying steely resolve, remains silent. 10 minutes crawl by, and Lieutenant Milazzo returns with what can only be described as threats against Samantha.
Okay, this is your choice. You can either give us an ID so that we could do a report on this and find out who you are, or we're going to take you in front of the presiding judge. He's going to hold you in contempt, which means that he can hold you for as long as he wants.
Remaining silent.
Okay, let's do it.
Once again, Samantha invokes her right to remain silent, but it's clear the situation is escalating. The officers decide to take action.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to probably take her in front of the judge.
Okay.
He's going to hold her in contempt for, I think right now he's doing 90 days.
Okay.
So, is that okay with you?
Remaining silent.
Okay, but you realize you're going to go to Cook County Jail for 90 days.
Remaining silent.
Okay?
Okay.
Now you have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we can do a report, and we'll let you go on your way.
I have an option?
Yeah.
We told you that before.
Remaining
Because right now you're just obstructing and you're in contempt.
Obstructing what?
You're obstructing us from doing our job.
Remaining silent.
All right, cuff her. Let's get her purse.
Ken.
Get her stuff.
I don't consent to searches.
Well, we don't care anymore. Okay?
With that, Samantha is finally handcuffed and arrested for obstruction, only to be later released without any charges. But what the officers remain unaware of is that their actions constituted not just an illegal act, but a litany of civil rights violations, including unlawful detainment, intimidation, illegal arrest, dereliction of duty, unlawful search, and destruction of private property. Samantha, undaunted, hires one of the country's top lawyers and proceeds to sue Cook County for these multiple civil rights violations. The case is ongoing, and its outcome remains uncertain. In the midst of this legal battle, one of the most shocking pieces of evidence emerges, previously unseen footage from the deposition of Lieutenant Milazzo and Sergeant Jennifer Larson. It lays bare a shocking level of ignorance of the law and ineptitude, setting the stage for a legal showdown of epic proportions. The scene is set with Samantha's lawyer probing Sergeant Jennifer on the legality of taking pictures outside a courthouse. Samantha's lawyer cuts to the chase, asking if it's against the law to photograph a courthouse from the outside.
To take pictures of a courthouse from outside.
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is it lawful to arrest somebody for taking pictures outside of a courthouse, of the courthouse?
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is there something
Lisa, keep your voice up, please.
Okay, sorry.
So I gotta get every word because it's on video.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this case at all?
Which case?
The case that brings us here today, that you're testifying in?
Yes.
Okay, and in a nutshell, what's the case about?
I would say that Amanda is, I guess I called you to say that she was outside videoing when she shouldn't have been. So she's saying we violated her amendment rights.
You're correct. When you say when she shouldn't have been, what does that mean? Was she doing something wrong?
Just something unusual, what us as officers would consider unusual.
Unusual, okay.
The lawyer presses further, seeking clarification on what Jennifer meant by if Samantha was doing something wrong or just something unusual.
Depending on where you are in the country, Mormons are unusual, right? Depending on where you are, it might be unusual to see a Mormon. Do you get to detain Mormons in those places?
I don't know if people detain Mormons.
You don't have to speak.
I don't know if they detain Mormons.
Would it be lawful? Just because it's unusual?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is there something unlawful about recording outside of a building?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Let me ask you this. Was Miss doing anything illegal when she was detained?
No, I would say it was not illegal, unusual.
The lawyer continues, asking if it would be lawful to detain someone just because their actions are unusual, to which Jennifer responds, what a police officer shouldn't say.
In order to detain somebody, what do you have to have legally? Do you know?
I do not know the law legally.
The lawyer exposes a concerning lack of knowledge on the law, highlighting the dubious grounds on which Samantha was detained. The courtroom revelation is both shocking and perplexing. Lieutenant Milazzo, with 27 years of experience, stumbles when asked about the difference between arrest and detainment, responding with a simple, illegal. The lawyer, undeterred, poses a direct question to Lieutenant Milazzo.
What would you do if one of those people said to you, what's the difference between arrest and detain? What would your answer be?
We'd call legal.
Mr. Gorman, seated to your left?
No. Sheriff has their own legal.
Oh, okay. Their own legal who helps them understand things like the difference between arrest and detain?
Yes.
Gotcha. Was there a lawful basis to handcuff her?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that lawful basis?
Officer safe.
The shocking twist comes when Lieutenant Milazzo, a seasoned officer, cannot provide a clear distinction between an arrest and detainment. He suggests that officers can seek the guidance of the office's lawyer when in doubt. The question looms large. How can someone with 27 years of experience in law enforcement lack such fundamental knowledge of the law? The lawyer's probing continues.
Did you have any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime?
We had reasonable suspicion to ask her what she was doing and why she was doing it, just to get who she was and why.
You and I agree on that you had the right to ask her whatever you wanted to ask her. Did you have the right to put her in handcuffs?
Officer safety.
For the security of the officers, yes.
Okay. What made her a threat?
Her refusing to give any information that was requested of her.
Was she legally obligated to give that information?
When an officer has asked her for security purposes to give her identity up, yes, we do have the right to ask for an identity of somebody for our safety.
This courtroom exchange leaves you astounded. Lieutenant Milazzo's apparent confusion regarding the difference between arrest and detainment, despite decades in law enforcement, raises questions about the depth of knowledge required for the job.
I heard of something called a Terry search or a Terry frisk.
I have.
Okay, what is that?
I'm not going to say exactly. I don't know the law.
Okay.
The belief that officer safety justified handcuffing Samantha, even when she had no legal obligation to provide her identity, is a perplexing revelation. It underscores the critical need for comprehensive training and understanding of the law within law enforcement, and leaves you with a sense of disbelief at the apparent gaps in legal knowledge within the ranks of seasoned officers.
Police officer goes over to somebody on the street. Let's call the person Mr. Plaintiff.
Okay.
Police officer goes to Mr. Plaintiff and says, hey, let me see your ID. And Mr. Plaintiff says, no. Is the officer now allowed to put Mr. Plaintiff in handcuffs and detain him?
I object. It's a hypothetical. It calls for speculation.
Yeah.
You can answer.
Okay. I do believe, yes, for officer safety, they do have the right.
Doesn't there have to be reasonable suspicion that the person committed a criminal offense or violated a law?
I don't know the law exactly.
The spotlight shifts to Sergeant Larson, with 20 years of service under her belt. She firmly believes in running your name for her safety, a prospect that might make anyone uneasy if they were pulled over.
Would you still arrest her?
So you're asking me if I can go back in time?
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do that.
Okay. Did you understand my question?
I did, and you're asking me to suppose whether or not I can go back in time. I can't.
So you can't tell me if you would still arrest her?
I can't tell you what would happen on that day if I went back in time, no.
Okay. Is this an attempt to be funny?
Not a bit.
Are you trying to answer my questions?
I'm trying to answer your question.
You really can't figure this out because you can't wrap your head around time travel.
I'm gonna object. Again, I'm gonna object. It's getting to be harassing again. Is this what the question is? Hypothetical time travel backwards?
Is that really how you interpreted the question also?
Is that what you're asking? If he could go back in time, would he do it differently? Is that not what you're asking?
Yeah, that is what I asked.
With Sergeant Larson's apparent lack of legal knowledge exposed, Samantha's lawyer proceeds to craft a hypothetical scenario to illustrate the absurdity of the arrest.
Any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime, yes or no?
We weren't sure what she was doing.
Okay, so if you don't know what somebody's doing, do you have reasonable suspicion that they're doing anything in particular?
No, but we have a reasonable response to ask what she was doing.
Right. Agreed. You could ask her what she's doing. And when she refuses to answer, are you now allowed to detain her?
Yes.
Who told you this? That you get to detain people who are videoing and refuse to identify themselves when asked.
This moment contrasts starkly with her lieutenant's earlier behavior. While Jennifer takes responsibility for her lack of legal knowledge, Lieutenant Milazzo pretends not to understand the questions and makes light of the situation.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment, by the way?
Vaguely.
What does it say in your own vague terms?
No illegal search and seizure.
All right, unless there's,
Probable cause.
or,
Okay. That's about all I know.
okay, all right, good enough. He said that's about all I know. All right, now, there was somebody else who asked you the same question that I just asked you about your familiarity with the Fourth Amendment, who's in this room right now. Do you know who that person was? My client. Ms. asked you that, didn't she?
I don't recall.
She asked you, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment? You don't remember that?
As for Lieutenant Milazzo, he entered the hot seat, where he fumbles.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
You're familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazies?
I don't know.
What's even more baffling is his claim that he can't recall who in the room had asked him about his familiarity with the Fourth Amendment. It's evident that Samantha was the one who had asked him, as the video footage confirms. However, the lieutenant chooses to feign ignorance, further damaging his credibility.
If I tell you that your answer was, oh great, why do we always get the crazies, would you dispute that?
No.
Does that sound like something you would say to somebody?
That's something I did say that day, yes.
So you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember saying that in response to the question, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
No, I just remember saying it.
Why is it that you felt she was one of the crazies?
When people act in a way that is not in their best interest.
How was she acting that was not in her best interest?
Well, at any time, all she had to do is identify herself. We could have done our report. You have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we could do a report, and we'll let you go on your way. And everything could have gone the own.
And if somebody were to threaten you that unless you comply with their demands, they're going to put you in handcuffs, would you automatically necessarily comply with their demands?
Yes.
No object.
You would.
Calls for speculation.
He was able to answer. So you would. So even if there's somebody who is acting as a law enforcement officer, giving you an unlawful order, threatening you with detainment or arrest or 90 days jail, if you don't comply with their unlawful demands, you would still comply?
Yes.
Alrighty. Is that what you expected her to do, to comply?
Yeah.
The lawyer, keeping a relentless focus on accountability, addresses the offensive comment made by Lieutenant Milazzo towards Samantha during the incident. He inquires if the lieutenant disputes his response to the situation. Despite his earlier claim of not recalling who asked him about the Fourth Amendment, he now distinctly remembers making that comment. As the lawyer's interrogation proceeds, the tension in the room continues to escalate. The contrast between Samantha, who was well aware of her rights and stood her ground, and the officers who seemed to lack a basic understanding of the law, becomes increasingly evident. Amidst the probing questions, an unexpected twist emerges. The lawyer confronts Lieutenant Milazzo about the deletion of the photos from Samantha's camera, a crucial piece of evidence in the case. The lieutenant staunchly denies any involvement in deleting the images, despite the existence of body cam footage that suggests otherwise.
Did you delete her pictures?
No.
Who did?
Don't know.
You don't know who deleted her pictures?
No.
By the time you got in front of Judge Peter Felice, they were deleted, weren't they?
As far as I know, they were still on there.
You grabbed her camera
Yes.
away from her outside, did you not?
Yes.
From that point until you were in front of Judge Peter Felice, did she ever hold her camera again?
No.
Okay, so you had it the entire time.
Yes.
Didn't Judge Peter Felice talk to you about whether the pictures had been deleted?
He asked for the memory thing so he could delete.
The exchange becomes even more intriguing as the lawyer reveals that Judge Peter Felice had requested the memory card from Samantha's camera for the purpose of deleting the pictures. Lieutenant Milazzo's acknowledgement that the judge requested the memory card for deletion is a shocking revelation, implicating not just the officers, but a judge as well.
You just said that he asked you for the memory card because he wanted to delete the pictures. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And if he were to testify at some point in time that he absolutely, categorically did not delete those pictures, then would you want to change your answer as to whether you or one of your people did?
I'm gonna object. Calls for speculation.
No one had custody of the camera but me.
Okay. Would it have been lawful for you to delete her pictures?
I don't know.
But what do you think? Are you allowed to go over to people's pictures and delete them
No.
without a court order?
No.
All right. That would be a violation of which amendment? Do you know?
No.
As the intense interrogation continues, it seems that Lieutenant Milazzo's resistance to addressing his unlawful actions against Samantha has reached its breaking point. The lawyer presents a critical question.
What do you do if somebody says they want to talk to a lawyer and you have them in handcuffs?
We allow them to call a lawyer.
Do you keep asking them questions?
Depends on the case.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Tell me the case in which you would continue to ask questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer.
If we're doing an investigation, we're going to ask.
I got you. Okay. Do you know which amendment it is that allows people to demand a lawyer? Do you have any idea?
No.
Have you ever read anybody the Miranda rights?
No.
You've never read anybody their Miranda rights?
No.
Have you ever arrested anybody
No.
other than Ms. Berquist?
No.
And you don't know the Miranda rights?
Not offhand, no.
All right. When you arrest somebody, do you have to advise them that they have the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that they have the right to an attorney?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that if they cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what if somebody says, yes, I want to talk to an attorney? Do you get to keep asking them questions? Or do you have to call a lawyer for them before you want to ask any more questions?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know if you're allowed to keep asking questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer?
No.
How long have you been employed at Cook County Sheriff's?
27 years.
27 years. I imagine you only became a lieutenant recently?
No.
How long ago did you become a lieutenant?
22 years ago.
You've been a lieutenant for 22 years and you don't know the Miranda rights?
Lieutenant Milazzo begins to unravel under the weight of this incriminating question, acknowledging that individuals in custody who request a lawyer should be allowed to call one. The lawyer highlights the glaring contradiction. Cook County Sheriff with 27 years of experience, a lieutenant for 22 years, and yet he claims to not know these fundamental legal principles. What do you think about this, and how do you think this case ends?